Poet Ponder, and I'm back with another video. Yo, I have to be completely honest with y'all. It took a lot for me to even come and make this video, but I wanted to make it because I feel like this needs to be responded to. I'm pretty sure that y'all all hear the stories that you've seen, the text messages, and the clips from I think it was the preliminary hearing regarding Naziah Harris, right? The monster, Jarvis Butts, who was her aunt's baby father. He already had a history a history of child inappropriate abuse. So let's just call it thing what it is. He already had a history of that with a 4-year-old and an 8-year-old. And it was said that, shout out to Nick at Night. This is the first platform that I seen like days ago when she first was doing the videos, a 4-hour live. It was like almost a 5-hour live. I just got through it today because I started it then, but then I went through it and then I had to do it in increments today because it was just so much. I promise you, let me know if you felt this. When she was going through not only different points of and it's like, this is a conundrum where I don't even need no notes. I just need to express how I feel. But when she was going through the text messages, like when I heard the sergeant reading the text messages of like the conversations that existed between Naziah and Jarvis, I felt physically sick at work. Like I felt like I needed to clock out and like go on break or something like that. Like I had to stop. You know what I'm saying? It really bothered me. And the sad thing about it is being that her family, and see, I feel like the mother and the father are getting the easy way out. Maybe she don't know who her father is. We don't know. But the mother, whether she's lost to the streets or whatever, everybody is focusing on the grandmother and the aunt. Yes, they failed her. They did fail her, but the mother failed her too. And it's just like, where is she at right now? You know what I'm saying? Where is she at? But anyway, right? Naziah had this relationship where she was groomed by her aunt's baby father. They had an on again and off again relationship. And let's just open it up with this. The grandmother hit the scene at the preliminary hearing, and she was being questioned in the stand or whatever, right? I didn't feel any emotion from her at all. It seemed like they was all just like oblivious. Like, let me just tell you something. Let me be completely honest with you and let me know if you operate like this. And I want people to look into this camera who possibly got somebody around them like Jarvis right now. Let me tell you this. This might seem really harsh towards the women because I understand that it takes two to tango and you need the dads and whatever. Sometimes you got toxic relationships, or whether the mother is toxic or the dad is toxic and he can't be around, whatever the case may be, right? One thing that bothers me though is that, and this is not even on no double standardness, but you a woman, that people prey on the weak, right? I be telling all of my friends this. Why do y'all make it seem like y'all need relationships so bad and you got children or kids? You have them to raise, but you want somebody to distract you from what's going on between your two ears so bad. You know what I'm saying? And you get this person, then you give them access to your kids. You give them access to your life, and they in the mix in the middle. And I'm going to tell you a personal story, too, that I can relate to this situation, that I'm happy it turned out a different way. But anyway, so he had this inappropriate relationship. The sad thing about it is that this started when the girl was 11, 12 years old. Could you imagine the conversations that I seen between them and heard between this 11-year-old, 12-year-old girl and this man was almost 4 times her age. The conversation that she was having at that young of an age, you could tell that I don't even know if he was the first person who did this to her, right? But anyway, the grandmother is on the scene. One thing that disturbed me about it is that she didn't call the police or do anything until the next day. You mean to tell me that this girl was missing? This girl was missing over 24 hours and you didn't call the police until you went to school? Did she say she called the police? Listen, write it in the comments. Did she contact the police when she went to school, after school the next day, or was it in the morning? Let me know in the comments because there's so much. This whole thing is a conundrum, right? So that was questionable to me. Then you talking about that this man came to the house. Let me just say this to you, right? Because listen, don't take me for no fool. You said that this man Jarvis came to your house and he only met up with them outside of the house. Why wasn't he allowed to come inside the house? Was it something that you didn't trust about him? And you said that he very rarely came in the house. Well, based on the text messages between Naziah and him, he was in your basement all the time having intimate relations with her, talking about things that personally 11, 12-year-olds should not even be on that level of talking about. It's like, Like, where did the hurt begin? It's like the Diddy case, where it's just like he has a this history of doing all these things to all these people. When did the abuse of power first start? And we all know, like I just mentioned, with the 4-year-old and the 8-year-old, if he gave a 4-year-old and an 8-year-old a STI, this man, sick in the mind. But I'm telling you, it's a lot of y'all who got people like this around you. He ain't the only one. I'm gonna be completely honest with you. I hoped with this digital age of people being able to be exposed on the internet and stuff like that, that things like this wouldn't happen. I really was hoping. I'm like, what's a new day? People know that if they get caught doing something like this, they're gonna be exposed. But they're still doing it. And the way that this man played with this young girl's mind, it's mind blowing to me. But let's just continue talking about the grandmother. So the grandmother said that he very rarely came in the house. I don't believe it. I don't believe the energy around it at all. I don't. All right. So, she gave her little phony testimony or whatever. Right. So then the Shannon gets up there, and, that's the aunt. That's her baby father. So she said that she didn't suspect anything. And, the grandmother, they didn't suspect anything. Shannon said that they had a regular aunt and uncle relationship. No, she didn't suspect anything. I got the vibe, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful because I know different people scour and search the internet for things, but I felt like, is this a slow family? Like, was there something going on? And what's so crazy? I heard the grandmother doing a prayer in the morning routine when I was listening to Nick's channel, right? I heard the grandmother do a morning. I seen them doing their morning routine, and they did prayer, right? So you praying to God and doing all of this, but you're not even keeping your eyes open and focusing on your granddaughter. Let me tell you something, right? And this is not to bring it back on me, to just I'm just giving you an example. My mother don't got no daughters. When we was little boys, the way that our room was set up in our house, right? Our rooms was in the front of the house. My mom had her own room in the back. When we was little boys, and now thinking about it in hindsight, a man can overpower a woman. My mom used to sit on the couch in the front of the house. She would go to bed on the front of the couch to make sure that she was by that door for her boys. That's a mama bear. That's what mama, let me tell you something. Even as a brother, wasn't nothing moving around that house at 3 a.m. You think I'm going to be going in the basement at 3 a.m. and that's not going to be odd behavior or anything? Who watched this go on? Listen, so I don't care. Listen, matter of fact, I don't care who come across this video from the family, because y'all let this girl down. Not only did the mother and the father let her down from that scope, you adopted her, so you had a responsibility. I remember when my nieces was younger, right? When I would bring them to different places, like when I would bring them to places like the park or going, anywhere like with them, right? I felt like these are somebody else's kids. I have a responsibility to protect them, right? So I would bring my nieces to the park with my friend at the time, right? And I would hawk them like I'm a security guard, like just watching them, just because I never wanted a story to get back to their parents that something happened to them on my dime. It reminds me of when we stayed with my grandmother when I was younger, and my brothers had ran off and went down the hill with this guy, and with this boy who was our age, and they was going like towards the lake or something. My grandmother got wind of it. She called the cops immediately because she didn't want no story to get back. What is going on with this man contacting this young Naziah at the age of 11, 12, coming to have intimate relationships with her in a basement? And you mean to tell me never did you catch him in the house? I don't buy it. I don't buy it. Something is really wrong with this. And a lot of people on social media feel as though that Naziah's grandmother and Shannon need to be charged. And I do believe that. I do. I think that there's some neglect there. You want to know what really rocked me to the core? The text messages, the graphic manner, the adult-like conversation that this young girl was having because she was groomed. I want to tell you how people are groomed, right? I have about 3 friends who witnessed intimate assault at a very young age where they was groomed. And you want to know what they all 3 had in common that they told me? That the person who did it to them loved them. They told them that they loved them. They had them gone in the brain. One of my friends, her uncle got caught up with that or whatever and got jailed and arrested for it. Even though he did that to her at a young age, she still went to go see him in prison for it, even though he did it to her. It's sick. but I don't call her sick. He took advantage of her, and it's just unfortunate. All of my friends had the same identical stories that, they were the favorite one. He did this and that for them. Now listen, I have both of my nieces are my favorites, and I do things for them, but I also educate them. Like my niece, we talking about this right now. We're talking about this, and I have to just keep it real and be transparent with y'all to let you know how, like, I don't play no games, and like I shakes the table, right? My niece's mom husband was locked up for 10 years over some violent crime, right? She brung this man into the home setting with my niece. My niece told me immediately that she was uncomfortable. You bring this man from prison and dump him in the living environment with a young teenage girl who's not used to living with a man. And then the mother, who has also experienced intimate assault at a young age at the hands of a family member, you know what she allows him to do? You would think that she would get it. She allows this man to buy my niece undergarments and buy her like bras and underwear and stuff like that. And my niece told me how she didn't feel comfortable. I just told her today when we was talking about this Naziah Harris situation, I said, I'm so happy that you told me that at a young age, because I shook the table. You know what happened? I asked my friend, I said, what do you think about this? And she said, you've already failed her if you didn't say nothing about it. She told me, and she was angry. She said, you have already failed her. I called my niece's mom up, shook the table. Was she mad at me for a little while? Yup. But guess what? My brother is disabled and going through his life changes or whatever. And I didn't want this man to think because my brother was going through that she didn't have some family that was watching and that was fighting for her. Shook the table up. Don't play. See, that's how that grooming starts. You got to listen. This is what I say when I say the village failed her. We're like the aunt failed her. The grandmother failed her. And sometimes I understand grandmothers have a lot on their lap because they take on a lot, especially when the parents are on drugs or they're just inactive and they just don't want to be a parent. They take on a lot, but you adopted that child. You had a responsibility. You had a responsibility to watch out for that child. And ain't no way that child went down in the basement, was up at all hours of the night and doing all of this stuff. See, these young kids, they on these devices and all of that. They don't need them. I'm not trying to tell you to take them away, but they need to be monitored. If your child has a phone or whatever the case may be, you need to make sure that there's another device that the messages come up on, especially at that young age. Now, when they start getting a little older, that's a little bit different. But the main focal point of this is that this young girl was failed. You can't tell me that you can't. I don't care. I don't believe you. You can't tell me. And then you want to know another thing that was the most heart wrenching is the fact that this man, Javon Butts, his sister had the most compassion out of all of them. She was visibly emotional. Visibly. And you know what? Something came to mind with that too. I don't know what he did to her. I don't know if it was a culmination of different things that she was going through, right? But I do think that she was truly sad because she said she was there that day. She was there and the defense was trying to grill her, trying to find holes in her story to see, like, did you really see her or this and that? Like, I didn't like that line of questioning at all. This whole thing made me so super uncomfortable. It made me realize how fortunate I am to have my niece and to be in her life and both of my nieces and to be able to put them up on game and tell them about things, inappropriate things to watch out for. Like I told my niece, I'm so happy that you told me about this man, because if you just would have let that slide and he would have kept buying you stuff like that, what would he have done next? See, that's what happens. If one thing goes through, they try the next. You got to nip it at the bud. This poor young girl was failed. So one thing I did appreciate at first when I seen the guy King, he was the one who worked with Jarvis at the shop. Jarvis' sister was there at the shop. I seen her that night. King was working there, and at first when I heard the jail call, I was thinking like, oh, is he gonna try to like stand behind Jarvis or whatever? And Jarvis sounded like a damn fool, narcissistic. Yo. He sounded like a fool, like, oh, get my phone. Like he had this tone and he had this sound to his voice that he just knew that he was going to get off of this. I don't understand. Like, I don't get it. I just want to tell all of you women, listen, I don't know if this is your story. If you dating somebody, you bringing them, leaving around your kids. If you a nurse working the 11 to 7 a.m. shift and you got some man living in your house, I know it's one of y'all looking in this camera and you doing something that you know ain't right. You know that it ain't right. If you got somebody around your kids, sometimes it could even be the biological father. And you know, I want to say this, and I'm not trying to be funny. A lot of the times we try to sweep stuff under the rug and try to say that, oh, this ain't happening in the black community or whatever. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. The incest, the inappropriate touching and stuff like that. It's happening, right? Let me tell you something, right? And I'm not gloating, but I come from a household where wasn't nothing moving past nobody. What are you doing down in the basement at this time of the hour? You getting up at a certain time? Wasn't no, like, the basement is not a forbidden thing. Like, why are you up that late going in the basement? Like, you mean to tell me out of all of the time within them text messages that he was never caught once? Ain't a neighbor see him coming through the house or doing anything? She's in the basement. I felt so bad for this young baby, because it's like, I can tell that even it could have been even before him, or maybe he groomed her so bad to the point where it's just like her conversations, I just felt like was so advanced in an intimate way related to sex that I don't even think that I was there mentally at that age, like, to be honest with you. And it's unfortunate because she deserved the chance. I really love the judge that was associated with the case too. She seemed really compassionate. I give her a lot of credit because, listen, I was physically sick, like, listening to it. So I give her a lot of credit too for getting up there, right? Now listen, I know that I'm kind of all over the place, but this story is really, really shocking. It's an eye opener. I want all of you to watch what's going on in your life. If you're an uncle like me or an aunt like me, I want you to keep your eyes open on your nieces and nephews, right? Things can get really crazy out here, and I know that some of these people are even violent, right? I want to tell you also, like, one of my friends, she had like this big blow up with her sister because her sister started dating this guy, and her whole family got in on it. And once you hear this, you will understand why were they mad at my friend. So my friend was on the phone with her sister, and she was like, her daughter was calling to say, like, you know, she's using the bathroom and that she needs help wiping. So she was on the phone, and her sister told her boyfriend to wipe her daughter, and my friend flipped out on her sister, like, why would you have some new NIGGA wiping my niece? Like, what is wrong with you? Her whole family flipped out, called her jealous of the sister and all of that, and they completely skipped over the point that this is a new man in her life, and why are you doing that? When my nieces was younger, I didn't change their diaper because I'm not their parent at all. I don't like that. You know, I don't like anything like that. I let, you know, when my nieces stayed the night and they was over with us, my mom kept them. You know, they slept with my mom, or they would sleep on the couch, and my mom would bathe them and do, you know, all of those things like that. I always taught my nieces about having their privacy, and, you know, taught them about space and what's right and what's wrong. I'm so happy that I'm in their life because they won't be able to be bamboozled. Not saying that things don't happen, but I'm just so happy that I can be a positive guide in their life to let them know that. And like my niece, she was like, she couldn't even really listen to this. She's 17 years old. And it's just, wow, like, yo, it really takes a village. It takes a village. I know that there's somebody watching this video, and you have somebody around that you probably unsure of or whatever. And listen, as we see with Jarvis, he did this to a 4-year-old and an 8-year-old. Who knows? Listen, we can't even put it past that. What did he do with his kids? Why did you have 2 girls even come into the shop to clean up? That's typically a job that you give little boys, give them a little $10, $10, $15, $20, tell them to clean up the shop. Why did you have to have girls? And he used his daughter in the mix to be able to have access to Naziah too. It's just foul. Like, I had all of these notes right, but I felt so passionately about this that I could just come and just speak freely. Like, if I didn't touch on something, like an angle from it, then it'll come to me and I'll do another video about it. But the moral of the story is keep your eyes open. Know what's moving around you. This reminds me of the story of Jocelyn Nungare, who her mother's boyfriend is now facing the death penalty, and I think that Javon needs to face that penalty too. You know, this is my approach to anybody who violates kids, women or anybody, right? Why are we wasting our tax dollars on people in the criminal justice system once they get convicted of being guilty, and then they got to sit up in the prison for years to come? And then, I don't even care if it's small amounts. I think that if you do something to it, if you kill a child or anybody, I just feel like you should be unalive. Like, why we can't just change? They fight in Congress for every other thing. Why we can't just fight for that? I don't think you deserve life if you do something like that. I hope that he gets that deep penalty. I hope that he does. They said that his trial was supposed to start today, but they said that it got delayed. And rumor has it that he was that he was beat up in jail. So they said that he couldn't have it. They said they beat him up in the jail last night. And also, I don't want to put the girl's name out there, but search Jovan Butt's name on Facebook, right? I don't want to put her name up there. You could find it yourself. But it was a 16-year-old girl who said that Jovan did this to her when she was 10 years old. He was dating her mother. She said she wanted to tell her story and that Jovan Butts touched her when she was 10 years old and she's 16, and she tagged this like news correspondence guy and said that she wanted to speak and tell her story. So man, the people who do things like that, they have a history, and they have like a footprint of things that they've done. Like, all this is why I said, like, where did the abuse start? You know what I mean? Who did it start with? He clearly, listen, what I don't understand is now I'm feeling like the state even failed. The state failed multiple kids too, because how did he do this to a 4-year-old and an 8-year-old, and he's still walking around, and he has a car shop or whatever where he's working with this guy King? How? And then the poor little girl, the saddest part about this is that she was impregnated by him, and they believe that he was trying to give her a AB, and it was unable to go through. They said on his phone he was searching certain things, like, what was it? Antifreeze. Like, I don't know, was he making her drink antifreeze? He was trying to figure out what would make the baby abort. So it's just a lot. It's really a lot with this story. I don't know how long I've been talking right now, but this story really made me physically sick, and it made me worried and concerned, because these people are amongst us every day. They're amongst us every day. That's why with me, you might think like that. Listen, let me tell you something. I cut people off quick when I get weird vibes, when I get funny vibes or anything like that. I cut them off quick. I'm very energy sensitive, and I believe that a lot of people are so oblivious, and it's like, imagine something going on around me that I don't know about. To be honest with you, it can't even be a little bug. I live in Texas. There's always some sort of little spider or something. It can't be a bug crawling on my wall without me seeing it. I'm aware of everything that's going on around me. Imagine me having a child in my house, and you think something's going on, and I'm just that caught up. This is why I said, what's going on with the mother and the grandmother? What were you doing? Are you drinkers? Like, are you pill poppers? And he had a type of woman that he liked too. I'm not even going to get in that because I don't want to demean nobody. But what was going on to where I couldn't imagine my brother being downstairs in the basement or something, and I don't know what's going on. We watched and we looked out for each other. We looked out for each other. If my mother being in her bedroom, once she started sleeping in the back, be like, what are you going downstairs for? She would have heard that back door open, and she would have came right out there. That's what you call being what? Like, listen, my mom, she was the type of mom, she might clean your room up every week, but she's going through that drawer, she's going through the notebook, she's looking through stuff. People have to parent. These digital devices is getting people into a whirlwind of trouble. And you're seeing how this man was even telling her, delete the messages, do this, do that, right? And I'm happy that with the technology today, you think you deleting a message, you think you Googling something on your phone, they're still going to be able to recover it should anything happen, right? All of those messages was so inappropriate. I don't even want to even go into that. You read it, you seen it. It was inappropriate. It bothered me to the core, yo. I was physically sick at my desk. Anyway, at this point, I am rambling. Rest in peace to Naziah. I can't even send condolences to the family. That's just how I feel. I can't send condolences to the family. Rest in peace to Naziah. You deserve better. You deserve more. I want to get into some words from the judge before I get up out of here, right? All right, so listen. All right, so when Judge Aaliyah Sabri found that there was enough for a jury trial based off. She said that they didn't even need the body, based off of like the information that they had. She has sent the case to the Third Circuit Court for trial, so he's going to be going for trial. And she told him, like, during her speech, where she was telling how everybody failed them, for the grandmother to the parents to the mother, everybody. She said from the school counselor, they all failed Naziah, right? And then she said, Jarvis, you sat up here with a mask on like for 5 days. You're the monster in this whole picture. Judge Sabri told Butts in the court on Thursday, January 9th, per CBS News. Naziah did deserve love from her parents and everyone who was in her life. The judge continued. She was ignored. She was neglected. And you took complete advantage of that. Yes, that's what they do. They can tell when you're destitute and they can tell when ain't nobody protecting around you. See, that was a thing with me. You knew that you couldn't handle me any type of way at all. I've even had our own personal story when I was younger, sitting in front of my house, and they had this halfway house that was in my area, and this old guy gonna come around the corner and tell me and say something to me like, "Hey, do you know about a blowjob?" or something like that. He said to me. I said, "What?" I flew up them stairs, and people think I'm trying to be funny, but I say thank God for hip hop, because if it wasn't for rap music and stuff like that, I wouldn't have known what a blowjob was. My heart was fluttering. I dashed up them stairs, got my aunt. When I tell you, we had about 20 deep in front of that halfway house at that night. Like, we waited for that night to come, and we was in front of there banging on the door. You're not just about to get away with that, and that's what a lot of kids don't have, and people could tell when you don't have that. You couldn't do anything to any of us without the whole room shaking. You couldn't. You do one thing to one of us, it's going to be I'm being honest, it's going to be 20 plus people in front of your crib. That's how we was showing up. My whole family showed up. This girl was alone, and he took advantage of that. She was neglected, and you took complete advantage of that. Judge Sebri said she wanted someone to love her. All right, and she will never know what that feels like. I pray for the healing of all of the victims, the young girls and the young boys who have come in contact with you. Yeah. All right. Butts has also been charged with intimate abuse of 2 other girls in unrelated cases. In her remarks, Judge Sabri added that a plea to the community to see that the case is a prime example of how much work needs to be done when it comes to protecting children, especially black girls. Right? According to the Braves.org, signs of intimate abuse include children's becoming quieter. Yeah, and I noticed that. I don't want to, you can get into that article if you want to read it. I'll link it below in case you want to read the full article in detail. This is on the Grio, right? So I'm about to wrap this up. My heart goes out to, it's sad when you can't even, my heart don't go out to the family. And I know that sounds messed up, because it's just like, nah, I didn't like the display. I didn't see any of them physically emotional, visibly emotional at all. And then you got the man Jarvis, his sister is up there shooken up, sad, telling her story. Why weren't y'all crying? You didn't care? And when they was doing that whole morning routine, I noticed that Naziah, she was really quiet. Like, she didn't say anything. She probably had a lot going on in her mind. Oh, I wanted to add this before I get up. Oh, I did say that already about my friends being intimately assaulted by family members, and they felt like they loved them and they had a connection with them. And one of my friends, the person who violated her, he passed away on her birthday. And ever since he passed away when she was a young teenager, just about now, she's in her early 40s. We all are around the same age. And she was just like, now she's able to appreciate her birthday, because it was just like, once she realized it was wrong what he was doing, then he died on her birthday. She could never enjoy her birthday. She had so much hate for him, but then she loved him. It was just, it's crazy. That's how they get in your mind. They get in your mind and they work it. Listen, prayers to Naziah. May your soul rest in peace. Please keep your eyes open on your kids. Know what's going on and moving around you. I don't care if you're on some sort of medication or whatever. I didn't execute my point. Jocelyn Nungray, make sure you Google her. Girl who was in Florida. Her mother was on antidepressants and all types of medication. She is living with her boyfriend. This man, while her mother would be doped up on these antidepressants and behavioral medications, he was having his way with her, and she got pregnant too, and he unalived her on the way to school, or they don't believe that she even made it to school that day. I want y'all to, ladies, understand man, I want the gentleman to be in your child's life, because you don't know if you need to protect them from a guy that's around in a situation. You need to be visible and let them know that you standing there. That's what I had to do for my niece, right? The guy never did nothing to my niece, but I needed to let him know that people is watching and she's talking to people, and you got to hold these kids down. When you a family member, you have a duty. You have a duty to be able to represent, to offer advice, to be a light to the kids. You know what I'm saying? I feel like it's our responsibility, and I'm happy that my friend told me. She said, you didn't say nothing already, you failed her, right? I shook the table. So I want y'all to open your eyes up for the children in your family, parents and mothers. Like mothers, I understand that we all want somebody. You all want somebody to love, but you got to realize sometimes you bring the wrong person around your kids, your life will turn upside down. Sometimes a person can see you having a child, and that'll be the target. Just please be careful. Listen, I don't want to keep rambling. Potent pondering. If you made it to this point of the video, please thumbs up the video. Rest in peace to this baby girl. Like, I don't know what else to say. I don't know what to say. Naziah was definitely failed. She was. All right. Be blessed.